Gardner-Johnson involved early, just based on what he had seen in rookie camp. What are some of the reasons that might be? I mean,
Yeah,
if
well,
if it
look,
comes to pass.
I think one of the things is he's a versatile athlete. So there's a lot of things that he can do and do well. The key is really going to be how well does he get acclimated to the things that we're asking him to do? How much can he absorb mentally? And that'll probably dictate, the volume and the amount that we can get him involved in the defense. So I think it's probably a little early to speculate as to how much or exactly what role that is. But yet, I do think that that's a talented athlete that we can utilize.
Yeah, I know we ask you this every year, but another year heading in, how much are these guys acclimated to what you guys want them to do, the veteran guys?
Well, look, I think we're further along now than maybe where we were 2, 3 years ago in terms of what we're going to ask them to do. There's a lot of repeat in terms of the things that we're doing schematically. So guys they've heard the defense, they've played the defense, they understand how they're supposed to fit within it. So we're probably a little bit further ahead. I think that's a tribute to our personnel department and bringing in the right guys, and then we've been able to have some consistency without a ton of turnover. There's always going to be some turnover from year to year, but I think specifically this season, I think there's a lot less turnover, and we're a little bit more stable in terms of knowing what guys can do and how we can utilize them.
Um, up front, I know there's a lot of focus on Davenport going into his second year, and how nice it would be to have him, be healthy and have kind of a two-pronged edge rush. But any anecdotal stories or anything that you've noticed that stood out to you about his approach to making that jump?
Well, look, I think I can see a little bit mentally where he's at. He's a little bit more confident in himself. I think that comes with familiarity with the defense and the things that we're going to ask him to do. He fought through the injury last year, which I think limited him some. I think the big thing for him is, I don't think we need to put any outside expectations on him. I think he needs to focus on, his day-to-day improvement and continuing to get better, because he's plenty talented enough to be a good player in this league, and I think don't worry about what the end result's going to be. Just worry about the day-to-day improvement, and that'll take care of itself, really.
Is there any kind of personality characteristics that you've noticed in terms of just what is uniquely him or his approach or anything like that?
Well, look, like I said, I think the biggest thing is I think he's more confident coming in this year. I think he proved last year, although somewhat limited in terms of how much he was involved, but I think he proved that he belongs in this league. And I think you see that a lot of times with smaller school players. They need a year to kind of figure out, what it takes to play in the National Football League, and understand that, like, you're perfectly capable, you're more than talented enough to play in this league. And now it's all about the mental mindset. And I think that's where I've seen, a more confident player, specifically here in camp.
The evaluation process shifts a little bit when you put the pads on, get a different look. What did you see out there today, I guess, from early visuals?
Well, look, I thought it was a pretty good day. I mean, guys were flying around. Obviously, we got to get in and look at the tape and see where we made some mistakes. But that's part of why we do what we're doing. So I think it was a good first day in pads. And the biggest thing is, can we keep stacking those days on top of each other?
Year 3 with Marshawn Lattimore, how much does he embrace being that guy that's going to travel with the top receiver? And what did you see from year 1 to year 2 and expectations for this year?
Yeah, well, look, I think he's a guy that obviously sees himself as an elite corner in this league. I think we see him as an elite corner in this league. We're always going to give him, the toughest matchup, on game day, and he embraces that challenge, and I think that's what you see in all the great corners. They embrace the challenge, and I think from a physical standpoint, I think it's probably the hardest position on the field to play, because, especially in our defense, because we do play a lot of man-to-man. He's in an individual matchup on a down in and down out basis. So I think it's a comfort for us as coaches, knowing that we have a guy like that embraces that challenge. And you got to have a short memory when you play out there on the Audubon. And he has that, and he's got supreme confidence in his ability, and that's a great quality to have in a corner.
I know.